Good morning, everyone. I'm Jonathan Little. Happy Monday. I was just super lucky. Way more lucky than most people would even understand. I was moving my books up there slightly over, and this ball, this giant, presumably glass ball, fell from up there onto the floor. And somehow, it did not shatter. I can't even tell where it hit the ground. Maybe there's a hole in the ground. But, Could you imagine if I was about to start the show and instead of being able to clean up a pile of glass on the floor, I had to just sit in it? That happened to me one time before. When I was a young, dumb kid, I was 21 years old at the World Series of Poker for the first time. And, I was playing online sit and goes at a glass table at a rented house, and I got angry because I had no control over my emotions when I was 21, and I took my little mouse and I banged it on the glass table, as I would routinely do at home on my metal table, and the glass shattered everywhere. I lost 12 out of 16 sit and goes in like 2 minutes. Instead of getting angry though, and remaining angry, I resolved, even as a young dumb kid, I knew, sit there and continue grinding your best. So I sat there and ended up winning the last 4 games and broke even on the session, minus the $700 table. So, wasn't so bad. Louis Philippe says, it's crystal. Apparently crystal doesn't break. We have a crystal globe. Oh, look at that. How about that? There's me, but upside down. Someone should probably glue that on there. All right, today, not a very good topic given I'm already getting my way pretty much this morning. We're having our way with the day. As you should on Monday, you should get your way. That said, today we are going to talk about when you don't get your way. So this morning, this was inspired by Mr. James. Mr. James has for some reason wanted to get up and watch TV. We don't want him to get up and watch TV. We want him to get up and read books and sing songs and play music. We try to keep him off the TV. Seems wise. So we threw a fit. He didn't like it. He was very, very unhappy. So, first things first. Whenever you don't get your way, always ask yourself, why am I unhappy with this situation? Right? Why does James think he needs to watch TV? Well, probably because he's already addicted at the nice age of 2.5. And that's very sad, right? So if you're purely just addicted to something, realize that's a problem. To be fair, James probably is not addicted. He just realizes every once in a while, sometimes somebody will watch TV with him and he thinks he's supposed to watch TV because that's the easy, fun thing to do. Sorry I'm not as fun as Sesame Street and Barney, Mr. James, but I do my best. So he was unhappy, threw a fit, but then he got over it. He forgot about it. Completely forgot about the TV, as will happen most of the time when you don't get your way, because not getting your way in most aspects of life is pretty irrelevant, because you don't really need many things. So I always want to ask as well, why do I think I need to get my way? What makes me think that what I want is what actually needs to happen, right? This happens in business all the time, for example. Someone will have an idea, maybe even a good idea, but the boss shoots it down. What do? Well, you get over it, right? You have to understand that just because I thought something was supposed to happen, or I had a good idea about something and someone shot it down, realize that's okay. You're not the boss, right? If you were the boss, you would get to do whatever you want, but you're not the boss. So how can you change that? Well, the easy solution is become the boss. It's okay to become the boss. If you can't become the boss, get over it, I guess, is what it amounts to. You have to be okay with understanding that what you specifically want is not what the whole world wants. And certainly you can fight for what you want and you can try to justify it, but at the end of the day, if someone doesn't want to do something and they are in charge, they're not going to do it, right? And that's okay. All you can do is continue doing your job to the best of your ability to prove to this person that your ideas are valid and have value, right? Because at the end of the day, if you just continuously provide immense amounts of value, if your boss is any sort of a reasonable person, they're going to look at this and realize, oh, this provides immense value. We should probably listen to this person more and more and more. This comes up in the poker backing scene all the time, whereas if you are continuously sending a backing group very good candidates, they're going to work hard with you to try to get them to bring good candidates. If you only bring in very low value candidates, they're not going to care very much, right? Because it doesn't matter that much. Are we live? Yes, we're live. Of course we're live. This is Monday morning, 9 a.m. Mark says, we are self-centered creatures. Seeing beyond ourselves is difficult for all of us. I think it becomes easier with practice. It's important to understand that you are just a cog in the machine. It's a big machine. The world's a big machine. But we are just a cog at the end of the day. And that doesn't mean you should be lazy or not do your best. I mean, if you look at an anthill, probably a poor analogy, but look at an anthill. There's one queen ant who's in charge of everything, and then there's a bunch of little worker ants. Certainly some have more authority than others. You have the protectors of the queen and the ones who boss the other ones around. I don't know how ant farms work exactly. But they're all just a cog in the machine. In the world, there are people who are in significant power, and there are some people who have literally no power, right? I mean, I am a peon. I realize this. All I can do is do the best with the situation that I have. Right? Only worry about what you can control. Whenever you don't get your way, always consider what your options are going forward. Right? Instead of just sitting there on the floor throwing a fit whenever you are told, don't watch TV, you need to instead think, okay, what are my other options? Well, it turns out Mr. James had a million other options. We sat and we listened to the Beatles play music, and he played on his xylophone and I played on the guitar. It was nice. We sat there, did that for a while, then we built a little bridge with some blocks and we pushed a little car through it. That was nice. We built a little house out of the couch cushions. That was nice, right? We have other options. Sometimes we don't have any options and it's just going to be unfortunate for you. And that's okay. Understand, you do not have to be constantly stimulated by doing things. One great poker player, I'm not going to out him, he tells me the day before any major main event, he sits in his room all day and meditates. That's all he does for a day. Now, I can't do that. I'd go nuts. That said, if I had to do it, then I guess I could. It's probably not a bad thing to try. Probably actually a pretty neat thing to try. But I have not done that. But I mean, there's someone who just sits there and literally does nothing all day. Let's see. We had a question earlier. In a cash game, if you buy in for the maximum, when is the right time to cash out? Whenever you're tired of playing. Should you cash out when your stack is 4 times everyone else's? No! You're not risking the whole amount if your opponent's going to only win one buy-in from you. Don't think of it like that. You need to cash out whenever the game is no longer good or your time that you allocated to play is up. Especially if you're crushing it, that's the worst time to cash out. You want to be cashing out when you're losing. Because when you're losing, it sort of means that the game is likely tougher than normal. Now, obviously this is oversimplified, but imagine you are down in a game, right? Let's say you're down a buy-in. And then you compare that to the times that you're up a buy-in. Odds are, when you're down, the game is tougher. Just how it is, right? Not like huge odds necessarily, but odds are if you're down, the game is tougher. That is when you should be quitting. When you're winning a lot, that's when you should not quit. Now, if you have a bad seat, like say the person on your left is very good and they have 4 buy-ins and you have 4 buy-ins and everybody else has 1, well then yeah, that's a good time to quit because you're in a very bad seat. But that is not a reason to quit. I mean, the fact that you are up is not a reason to quit. If anything, that's a reason to stay. Let's see. You played a charity tournament. How do you play against people who play their entire range? Just play better cards than them and you'll crush it. Amy final tabled her last charity tournament. It was a major World Poker Tour charity tournament. And she played literally only good cards. She sat there, played only good cards, got her money in good every single time, won, 80% of them, and made the final table. Remember Ivy saying a long time ago that people would play long when they were running bad and short when they were running good. Yeah, Ivy was actually well known for playing super high stakes online, and he would quit anytime he was down like 1.5 buy-ins, which was very different than what most people would do. Now, I'm not going to say that was necessarily a good strategy, because if he actually is good and better than the opponents, he misses out on playing against them because he doesn't play as many hands. But if you feel that you are outmatched, especially heads up, it becomes clear rather quickly. Yeah, quit. That's smart. Don't play against people better than you if you're trying to make money. Can you explain your relative position when in the big blind? Essentially, the small blind is where it's most relevant. Basically, the person who raised pre-flop is going to bet first most of the time. Say button raises, small blind calls, big blind calls. On the flop, small blind checks, big blind checks, button bets. Small blind now has to go before the big blind. So big blind has a decent relative position there. But from the small blind, it's quite poor because you have to go before you know what the big blind's going to do. All right, anyway, back to not getting your way. This is not an Ask Me Anything. We do those only every once in a while. I actually come with topics prepared. I try to treat this like a professional. Every morning I wake up and I'm like, oh, what am I going to talk about today? And then I have to figure out something. And today was easy because Mr. James was throwing a fit. All right, so yeah, figure out your options going forward. Usually you have a pretty good option. Like if you work at a company and the boss doesn't want to do what you want to do, but there's something else you could do that the boss is cool with, well, focus on that. Don't just focus on, I didn't get my way, now I'm angry. Instead, focus on, is there another project I can work on to make the boss happy and prove that my ideas are valid and very, very good. And if there is, then just do that, right? Don't get hung up on one thing you don't get to do. With pocket tens on ace, king, 10 with two spades, you get it all, two all-ins before you. Should you fold? Probably not. Depends on the scenario, though. I don't fold sets. Folding sets is bad. My new post about a little coffee looked very professional. Yeah, we have a guy helping with social media. His name's Justin. He's doing a great job. He's been doing lots of things. He's been clipping out little clips of a little coffee to share on social media because apparently I say things that some people like. But I do it randomly and I don't know when it's going to happen. It'd be nice if I could bottle that skill and do it all the time. You raise 4 times the big blind with pocket tens. That's probably a mistake. Button call, 9, 6, 4. You had 10 big blinds. Why would you raise to 30% of your stack? You should either go all in or raise much smaller. 9, 6, 4, you should just jam that flop most likely. Or bet tiny, because you're in great shape. You can only get 7, 6. Fantastic. Good job. Again, let's get back to this. Because this is important. In poker, people get annoyed when they don't get their way, right? And what I mean by that is when they don't get their way, usually it's because they show up, they play well, and they lose. Or they show up and they play poorly and they lose. A lot of people don't like to lose. So, what can you do about that? Because variance is inevitable. When you get your pocket aces, you are going to lose 80% of the time when you get it all in pre-flop as a quote-unquote big favorite, right? So if you know you're going to lose 80% of the time, what can you do about that? Some people say nothing. You can't do anything about that. That's variance. But, okay, that's variance. What can we do about variance? Think about it for a second. We've discussed this before. Hopefully your regulars know the answer to this. What you can do about variance is you can play way more because volume cures variance. If you play enough, variance becomes irrelevant. Oh, yes, I mean you lose 20%. Sorry. Had it backwards. You all know what I mean. See, this is the problem. Sometimes I say really good things. Sometimes I say really backwards things. Because whenever I'm thinking, I'm always thinking like, what am I going to say in the future? And I mess up. Anyway, yes, with your aces, you're going to lose 20% of the time. There we go. Thank you for all correcting me. I accept that I will mess up sometimes. So anyway, variance, volume cures variance in that as you play lots and lots and lots and lots of hands, then variance becomes irrelevant because you will lose with your aces 20% of the time across the board. And if you only lose 20% of the time, you're going to print money, right? Whenever you are printing money, sometimes you're going to lose, and that's okay, right? You get over it. So often, people send me a hand, like we were just sent. I got it all in with 10s against 7-6 on 9-6-2, and I lost. Like, get over it. Doesn't matter. Because it's one hand, right? One hand is completely irrelevant. Are we having beer this morning again? Could be. Maybe it's whiskey. I don't know. Faces only win 20% of the time. I guess it's whiskey, huh? All right. So, if you realize that you cannot put in volume to cure your variance, what are your options then? Right? Because let's say you only get to play every other Thursday night, and this is really important to you, right? Because you only get to play once every Thursday night. Well, understand, you are gambling. If you don't put in volume, you are straight up gambling. It's like going to the casino. If you bet on one hand of blackjack. You're 50-50 to win, right? Sometimes you're going to win, sometimes you're going to lose. It's not really 50-50, but sometimes you're going to win, sometimes you're going to lose. And that's it. But that's actually good for you here because you're playing at a disadvantage. What does the casino want you to do? They want you to go and bet 1,000 hands. They want you to sit there for 8 hours and bet a tiny bit every single time. You know what happens? You put in volume with a disadvantage, their variance goes to 0. You are going to lose almost every time. And this is why casinos print money, because they have rooms and rooms and rooms full of people who are betting at a disadvantage over and over and over again. And in poker, of course, you can't have rooms and rooms and rooms unless you are a backing company, which, a lot of backing companies try to do. They have lots and lots of small stakes players grinding out equity. In these scenarios, you need to realize I just have to put in a lot of volume. And if you can't, you are accepting and understanding I'm going to have large amounts of variance, and that is okay. If you don't like it, go play a different game. Go play a game that has very few short-term fluctuations. Go play chess, right? Problem with games like chess, it's a big, big problem with chess. Think about it for a second. What is it? The problem... What was I even talking about? I'm reading questions over here. Someone repeat the question. Maybe we are having whiskey. We're really not, I promise. What was the question? What was the problem? Oh! The problem with chess is that the best players always win. D. Nelson got it. Exactly. So, the problem with chess is that the best players win almost every time. Not every time, but almost every time. And when there is no variance, people don't play for real money, which is why chess is not played for real money. So, is that a game you want to play? Well, understand that you don't have to play for money, right? No one said you have to play poker for real money. You can play poker for fun. If you're playing literally to pass the time, I don't know why you would want to even play for real money. Take it super casually. Realize, you know what? I'm just spending my time doing something that I like. I like seeing the cards come out. Whatever it is. And understand you don't have to have a financial stake attached to what you're doing. It's not necessary. Right? A lot of people say that the game of poker would fall apart if there was no money involved. I mean, does the game of chess fall apart with no money involved? Does... Well, really any game, right? Does Monopoly fall apart? Does Magic the Gathering fall apart? Do any of these games fall apart if you're playing for fun? The answer is no. It's just a mindset, right? A lot of people approach poker from the gambling mindset of I am a degenerate gambler and I gotta have a rush. I want to feel the swings. That's why I play. And that's okay too. But understand that in the ideal world, you don't feel the swings and you don't care about the swings because at the end of the day, they don't matter. If you are a good player, you will win over time. And if you're a bad player, you will lose over time. So, if you only get to play once every other Thursday night, realize we're going to have very large swings in the short term because every week or every 2 weeks you're only playing 30 hands of poker. But in the long term, you still are going to get there over the course of 100 years, right? It's a lot of sessions. Have I ever played Risk? Only on my phone, not a lot. I really don't have a lot of time to play a lot of games anymore. Are there any little coffees on playing your first big venue tournament? Or traveling advice or selling? I mean, listen, just go to jonathanlittlepoker.com and read all the blog posts there. What's the difference between six-handed and nine-handed? Six-handed is so hard. What is the difference? I mean, the only difference is there's 3 fewer seats at the table. It's not actually that different of a game. A lot of people think there is, but a lot of people don't. Let's see. Do all of your employees play poker? I don't have any employees. I have private contractors. And do they all play poker? Yes. If your casino has high rake, is it beatable? Depends on how bad the opponents are, right? If the opponents are bad, then the game is beatable. Your opponents can be awful, and you can still beat a high rake. If your opponents are just kind of bad, then you won't beat a high rake, right? It's not a question of, is this rake too high? It's a question of, are the opponents bad enough, and is my edge big enough to where I can overcome it? Hello. What can I do for you? Oh, hi, Miss Sir Thomas. Here's Sir Thomas today. Talking about variants, right? You would think whenever you have multiple children, they would be different. But it turns out this one looks exactly like the first one, which looks exactly like me. If I did not see these babies come out of Amy, I would not know that they were mine. I'm sorry, I would not know they were hers. I'm saying everything backwards today, I'm sorry. Everyone thinks I'm drinking whiskey instead of beer.
Coffee.
Instead, it's only coffee, you're right. Let's see, what are all of you saying? Any more news on a new book coming in? Take your time, everyone. You only get to release 1 or 2 books a year. Be patient. Be patient. So anyway, here is Mr. Thomas. He's a good boy. Look, he can almost stand up. Stand up, please. Yeah, stand up. Stand up, please. You're doing it. Good job. Good job. Look, I'm barely holding him. Hi. Hi, world. Yes, you're so strong. He's like, Mommy, what's he doing to me? What's he doing to me? I'm excited because they probably both have Amy's brain, so they will be successful in life. Instead of my brain, where they are drawing live to get themselves in trouble. What about the hand replayer? Go to easyhand.com or something like that. Sure, you can just look it up. Right now, we're currently not accepting people to be able to use the program because it's still in beta testing. But Mark, send us an email and we will figure out a way to make it happen for you. You have anything you want to say today, Amy? No? Sir Thomas has been sleeping through the night. 3 nights in a row. He slept from about 9 p.m., oh my God, 9 p.m. till 5 a.m. He's a big boy now. Yep. Okay, bye, Thomas. You're a good boy. You're a good boy. Bye. 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 Will you let your kids play poker later in life? Sure, why not? Again, it's a game like Rummy, a game like Go Fish. Will you let your kids play Go Fish? Sure. You know, you can play Go Fish for money too if you want. No one does because it's a skill game. But it's a hardcore skill game, very little variance involved. Let's see. When is a good time to overbet as a bluff? When your range is very polarized and you have the range advantage. You have a big tournament series coming up and you play mostly online. Would you suggest playing a little live tournaments as preparation? Absolutely. Go play live tournaments. Get used to it. Stack Assassin, send us an email. Took 11 months for your boy to sleep through the entire night. So we've studied sleep training. Here we have a book right here. Healthy Sleep Habits, Happy Child. I was going to make training videos today. I'm just not going to make training videos today because I can't speak for the life of me. Healthy Sleep Habits, Happy Child by Mark Weisbluth. A lot of this is, I'm not going to say nonsense, but a lot of it is just like random people's stories and stuff. But there is a lot of very good advice. This is how we got James to sleep through the night when he was 2 months old. Thomas just turned 2 months old and he's sleeping through the night. Essentially, a lot of people don't put their kids down early enough. And also a lot of people do things like hold their kid until they are super asleep and then they put them down. Or they sleep with their kid, or they try to nurse the kid until the baby passes out. Stuff like this. Basically, you want to teach the kid to fall asleep by themselves. So you put them down relatively early. This book suggests between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. Pretty early, right? We started to about 7-ish, 7:20-ish. 7:30-ish, something like that. After we put James down. James goes to bed at about 7:30. So we try to get him down then. Then we sit there with him. He's in his crib, and we rub his belly, we rub his head, we put on quiet music for him. He sucks on a pacifier, and it takes him 30 minutes or an hour to fall asleep. Then he falls asleep, and that's it. Do I recommend King interviews? I don't know what a King interview is. So anyway, this is a good book. I say it's a good book. Look, in reality, it's 600 pages or something. How big is this? 650 pages. You could definitely have all of this information in about 50 pages. I think that'd probably be plenty. But 650 pages, so you're going to have to wade through some rubbish. That said, it's very, very good. T. Nelson says it's a big boy. Yes, Thomas wears 6-month-old clothes. He weighs the same amount that James weighed when James was 7 months old. But he's only 2 months old. And that's okay. All right, let's see. What else do we have to talk about pertaining to this? You want to try to think about the things that you can control, right? So what can you control and what can you not control? Quite often you're going to find that many things you don't actually have control over. If you don't have control over things, then that is okay, but you have to realize you probably just need to forget those things, right? And if you can just forget those things, then that is A-okay. Let's see. Give me just a second, everyone. We're live right now. All right. Yes, I know we're live right now. Let's see. Hide user on this channel. Good. I think I've succeeded. Who wants to be made a moderator on YouTube? Here, we're going to make Mark a moderator. Mark, we may need you to be a moderator. All these people trying to give problems to me for no good reason. That's okay. All right, Mark's now a moderator. If anyone else is a moderator, let me know. All right. How many people have problems holding themselves under control, the wrong mindset, etc.? Yeah, I learned a lot from a guy named Elliot Rowe. He has worked with lots of great poker players, lots of great MMA fighters, all sorts of people. And I learned a lot from him. Essentially, you have to understand that most everything is out of your control, and that's okay. So what things do you have control over? Well, I already told you, you can't control variance while you're at the table, but you can control it by putting in more volume, right? So can you put in more volume? Most poker players, if that is what you really care about the most, if that's what you really care about the most, then yes, you can put in way more volume. I tell all of my students, play online poker, because with online poker, you can play tons and tons of volume. Maniac says, you want to work for me. Send your resume. Support@pokercoaching.com. Let me know what you want to do. Let me know how you can provide immense value. If you can provide immense value quickly, you may have a job. What issues did I have before starting with Elliot Rowe? I mean, I would just generally get annoyed if someone was playing aggressively at me, right? But if someone's playing too aggressively, what should you do? Instead of getting annoyed, this guy 4-bet you 7 hands in a row, what should you do? Don't get angry. Just adjust your strategy and crush them, right? What if someone is being verbally abusive to someone at the table, or you? What can you do? Well, first off, get over it because it's irrelevant, right? What do you do about long downswings? Realize, well, maybe you're not playing with an edge. Maybe you're not putting in enough volume. I mean, if you go and you play a tournament series where you play 10 tournaments in live poker and you lose all of them, should you be annoyed? And the answer is no, because you only played 10 tournaments. 10 tournaments is nothing. So that's important. At the WPT Cyprus, oh my God, a long time ago, in 2011, would I have considered myself under control compared to today? No, I get better and better as time goes forward. I mean, I would say over the last 4 or 5 years, I've been in a pretty good mental state. I think it's just, well, I guess since I met Elliot Rowe. Since I met Elliot Rowe, I've become in a very, very good mental state. And whenever I'm playing, I don't get tilted. I don't get excited. I just sit there and I play my best poker. And that's what you need to do all the time. I read an interview with David Peters, who just won the Poker Masters main event and the Purple Jacket, I think, if they're still doing that. So he just won this. And in his interview, he basically said that he's playing and he just knows the right play. And when you just know the right play, just make the right play. And you don't worry about anything else besides that. Win or lose, because it doesn't matter. Your results are irrelevant if you're doing the process properly and playing optimally. He says he studies a ton and is winning a lot because of it, right? And that's what I've tried to do over the last 2 years. I've worked hard. I've developed a pretty strong framework that will allow you to play as good as anyone who's not like the top 50 players in the world, and all you have to do then is just make sure you're implementing that framework as properly as you can. Have I read the Grinders Manual? No. Long time no see. Welcome. You're asking about modern poker theory. I honestly don't know. Whatever you bought on the website is what you will get. Plaza says you don't get tilted either. I mean, listen, I would say... Oh, hi! What are you doing? You want to come be on camera? Come here. Come here. What do you see? Oh, you see more James. Yeah, there's more James. This is James. He's the bigger one. Do you want to say hello? Can you say it loud? Say hello. Can you sing your ABCs? You're being so quiet. Why are you acting funny? That's Daddy's script. Can you count to 10? Can you count?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
What's wrong with your voice?
7, 8, 9, 10, 1.
Here, you want some water? Okay. No? No water? What are you going to do today? No, that's my pen. Stop. Stop touching stuff. Yeah, that's Daddy's script. We're talking about you, actually. We talked about how you didn't get to watch TV. Hey, why were you unhappy when you didn't get to watch TV?
TV.
Yeah, no TV in the mornings. Okay? That's Daddy's script. You can't take that. I need that for a book I'm going to write down the road. Can you tell everyone hello? Can you say thank you for being here? Why are you being quiet? Oh, you hear the baby crying? Yeah, baby crying in the back. All right, you go with Grandpa. Thank you, Grandpa.
Have fun, class.
Have fun with the class? Okay.
A baby shark.
Yeah, it's a baby shark.
It's a doo-doo.
Baby shark, do, baby shark.
Okay.
No, it's my shark. Bye, love you.
No.
No. He wants to hold the baby shark. The baby shark. I want to hold the baby shark. No, James, you cannot hold the baby shark. All right, thank you for everyone for dealing with that baby. All right, let's see. Thank you for letting us see your personal life. You're welcome. Personal life and poker life all blend together for me. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah, what are you actually in control over? Understand, you may think you're not in control of your mindset, but you are. A lot of people think that the thoughts going through their head are their thoughts. But in reality, most of the thoughts that are going through your head, if not all of them, have been put in you by someone else. Look at most babies. Most babies, when they are brand new, they are nothing but happy. They are only happy. They are only cheerful. They get unhappy when they are dirty, when they are not protected, and when they are hungry, right? Or they're sleepy. Only those things. And that's it, right? Besides that, they are happy as can be. And everything else you learn throughout life, like I need a TV, then I can't get a TV, so I'm angry. These are all learned behaviors. If you have something in your brain telling you that you are not adequate, that you're not good enough, that you should be angry because this money that was not yours to start with is now not yours again, right? If you have these voices in your head, realize someone put you there. And in the small stakes poker world, everyone, if you look around, everyone complains about bad luck. They complain about losing their money. They think they're supposed to be annoyed when they lose. So, what can you do about that? Well, you can understand that you should not mimic your behaviors off of losing players. And let's be realistic. If you are stuck at small stakes no limit, 1, 2, or 2, 5, and you cannot move up for the life of you, you're not a very good poker player because the best poker players rise from there quickly. So it's important to understand that either you're not putting in enough volume or you just are not very good. So what can you do? You can either resolve to get good or you can resolve to be not good. Most of you here are all happy to work hard, happy to get good, and that's exactly what you need to be doing. But a lot of other people just want to complain, and they decide that I'm going to model my mental game and my technical poker game off of the other people in my game. And that is just the worst thing you can do, because it's well known most people in every poker game are break-even-ish or tiny winners or are losing. Because if they were really good, they would move up. They'd be playing the biggest games in the room. So understand that you should not be copying those people. So if those people are complaining about their bad luck, don't copy them. If those people are raising to 7 big blinds pre-flop with their pocket tens, don't do that. If they are jamming 6x pot with aces on the flop, don't do that, right? Because those are losing plays. You want to copy people who are doing well. And then you want to understand why those people are doing well. So, you can either be a victim or you can take control of the things that you want to take, that you can possibly take control of. And fortunately in poker, you actually have a lot of control. You get to determine how many hours you work, or how many hours you get to play. You get to determine how many hours you study. You get to determine your strategy at the table. You get to determine your mindset. You can change your mindset. Don't think that you cannot change, because I know I've changed. Like I said at the start of the show, I once shattered a glass table and sat in it for an hour while I continued my session. That was me as a young, dumb kid. And now, I'm happy to say I've not broken anything in many, many years. So, understand that you can change. I'm telling you all, I was a young, dumb kid. I had horrible mindset problems. I was always negative. I don't know why. This was just something that had been put into my brain from somewhere along the way. And I've broken completely free of that. And now I expect good things to happen. And if they don't happen, I'm not saying that I'm going to be angry. I don't feel entitled by any means. But I'm a positive person, right? And it really is just a mindset shift. Whenever I was a kid, my dad always said, attitude is everything. And I'm sure back then I thought he was an idiot, but now he definitely knew what he was talking about. You can be as happy or as miserable as you want to be. Jared says, the coaches on poker coaching are too different. Fortunately, Jared, you have to understand that there are many ways to win at poker. So if you don't like a particular coach, don't watch their training content. That's fine. I mean, I know I subscribe to lots of training sites, and I watch like 8% of the videos by a few specific people who I think are very, very good. Right? You don't have to go through every single person's content all the time. We like to have a library, though, of various viewpoints from people who are definitively proven winners. Because, look, everyone's not going to like me, and I get it. But a lot of people love Matt Affleck or love Alex Fitzgerald, and whenever we bring on the new coaches in the near future, they're going to love them too, and that's okay. How much rake is too much? Like I just said, it doesn't matter as long as your opponents are terrible. That said, most people aren't that bad anymore. How much is too much, though? I don't know. If you're playing 1-2 and they're raking $6, $7, it's kind of a lot. Let's see. Attitude of gratitude. Yeah, I know gratitude is something a lot of people definitely really, 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 I guess preach is the right word. And I feel like I'm not either happy or sad. And I definitely need to figure out a way to work on gratitude personally, because I'm certainly grateful for everything I have, but it's not like I'm sitting here counting my blessings all day. Instead, I am working hard to ensure I continue to get these blessings, right? And one thing I have done is I try to wake up and I try to be thankful for the things I have, and before I go to bed I try to be thankful for the things that I have. But during the day I'm not sitting here thinking, oh, I sure am happy that I get to have this wonderful coffee mug, right? Like, I'm not thinking stuff like this. I think a lot of people go overboard with it. I'm not sitting here thinking, oh, look at all the trophies, I'm so happy I have all these trophies. I mean, no, I'm out there working hard trying to build more things, right? I'm out there trying to win more trophies instead of being content. So I've at least found in my experience, working to be overly grateful leads to contentment for me. And I don't want to be content. I want to continue working hard for all of you, because certainly I could just pack it up tomorrow, and anytime anyone messages me, send them all of my body of work and never have to work again. Is that what you all want? You want me to be content? You want me to pack it up? I mean, no. You want me to continue doing it? So we have people saying some of them love Alex Fitzgerald, some of them hate him. Yeah, Exactly, right? He's not for everyone, and that's okay. I'm not trying to say everyone is for everyone. It's important to realize that everyone's not for everyone. Obviously, you all are here, so you probably like me, and you're not listening to Alex Fitzgerald's weekly podcast, right? He does a weekly podcast, or a pretty regular podcast. Some people listen to that, and they don't listen to me, right? Why is that? Because they like him more than me, and that's okay. Everyone's not going to like you. You like Alex Fitzgerald because he's brutally honest. Yeah, it's important to be brutally honest. Best book for beginners. Well, Maj, it depends on how beginner you are. If you don't know how many cards are in a deck and what beats what, I do not have a book for you. Just read something on the internet. If you want a good book that will make you good, it's not going to be easy. Read Mastering Small Stakes No Limit Hold'em. You can get it at jonathanlittlepoker.com/mastering. Is this live? Of course it is. It's a live show. You live close to Portland, Oregon, and they have some green poker room, or Greer poker? I don't know what a Greer poker room is. Rather than rake, they charge a daily toke of around $15. That's pretty cheap. It's actually very cheap. Assuming it's $50 for a day. I mean, if you go there and you play for 12 hours, that's $1 something per hour. It's free. That is effectively free. How do you get over the nerves? Biological conditioning. I found that's by far the best solution to any physical nerve-related thing. Whenever I was a young person, I would play the trumpet in the band, and the band director had me play solos that were way too difficult. And I would fail probably 70% of the time. And the first few times I was devastated because I was tasked with a job and I failed at the job and I thought everyone cared. Turns out no one cares. Even though you're playing in front of the whole school, no one really cares. And if they think you play poorly, so what, right? I was, in theory, the best one for the job because the band director gave me the job. And everyone else would have presumably done it worse, right? So what did I do? I realized I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do my best. I'm going to practice hard. And I'm still probably going to fail, and that's okay. I always wonder how, athletes, or let's say boxers, whenever a line comes out on a boxing match, very often there'll be a line, right, a betting line, and they'll say one guy's like a 5-1 favorite. How does that other person feel knowing that they are a 5-1 underdog? Are they just going to give up and quit? I mean, I was a 5-1 underdog to do my solo correctly every time. Did I just roll over and say, yep, I'm going to fail? No, you still do your best because you might hit it that 1 in 5 times. And or 5-1 odds, that's 1 in 6 times, right? Maybe you actually do it better. Maybe you do it right 33% of the time and you drastically overperform. Who knows? But don't just pack it up and quit, right? I think a lot of people pack it up and quit, and they think that just because I'm likely to fail means I should not even try hard. And that's how a lot of people approach tournaments, right? They know they're going to lose most of the time because that's just obvious. And that's okay. But they decide, you know what, I'm probably going to lose, so I'm just going to fire my money in and see what happens. And they lose all the time instead of only 98% of the time. You bought both of my books. I have 14 books, Jared. I do have 2 very similar books for small stakes games, though. You probably didn't need to get both of those tiny books. Is there someone out there who's my nemesis? No. I remember whenever I was a young poker player, Lee Markolt at 10-20 and 25-50 no limit would beat me every single time. And funny enough, I view Lee as my dad. I love him. We haven't really talked a whole lot, but I guess I respect him immensely, and I've learned a lot from him to the point that he's like my poker dad. He doesn't even know this, but he's like my poker dad. And it's neat, right? Just because someone's your nemesis doesn't mean you have to despise them or be angry at them or hate them. You can often respect these people and look up to these people. And it's kind of neat. Any chance we can get a little coffee on the weekend? No. Weekends are reserved for the family. Where can you get my books? JonathanLittlePoker.com/books. Am I a tournament or a cash game player? Both. How do you respond when a player guesses what cards you have you just won with? Why do you have to respond? Ryan, I do not have a book called Mastering Small Stakes Cash Games. Mastering Small Stakes No Limit Hold'em is the only book that has the term mastering in it. Yes, get them at jonathanlittlepoker.com/books. Let me get down the books. I'll show you the differences. Let's see. Here are the books I would recommend for beginners. These two books are both very basic. Look how small they are, right? They're only 100-ish pages each. These books, Strategies for Beating Small Stakes Poker Tournaments and Cash Games, are very, very good for helping you fix your leaks quickly and also learn how to exploit your opponents, right? That's what these books are good for. They're not going to help you develop a fundamentally sound strategy or anything like that. That's what this book is for. This book essentially contains these two books, but it's full of range analysis and teaches you how to play a fundamentally sound strategy and then how to adjust to take advantage of what your opponents do wrong. This is the book that I would definitely recommend to any serious player. I made these two books for people on Twitch who did not seem to want to study, did not want to seem to do anything hard, because, let's be fair, they want to sit around and watch TV all day. And so I made them short, easily actionable books. It turns out these are my best sellers because that's what most people like to do. They want things easy, they want to be spoon-fed, and they want to say, here's 10 tips, take these 10 tips and you'll be way better. And there's nothing wrong with that, just realize you're not going to get good doing that. So this is the Big Kid book. If you want to actually work hard, actually learn how to think well, get this one, Mastering Small Stakes No Limit Hold'em. You can get it at jonathanlittlepoker.com/mastering. And it's a very good prerequisite to my site, pokercoaching.com. When are we pulling the winner for the Mid-States Poker Tour seat? That'll be in about a week. There's a countdown timer right at the top of it. Click the link. You'll see the countdown timer. We're giving people time to enter. By the way, I'm giving away a Mid-States Poker Tour seat. You can find information for that on all of my social media channels. Let's see. Do we have any tells that we think are reliable? Read Mastering Small Stakes No Limit Hold'em. What is my biggest score? For any poker player, you can look up their biggest scores by typing in their name and then typing in Hendon Mob. HENDONMOB. You can search literally any name, and if they have poker scores in any major tournament or even some not major tournaments, they will pop right up. I think biggest was 1.1 million, second biggest was 1.05 million or something. Let's see. Okay, I want to go back for you for the day. Understand that when you don't get your way, it's okay. Understand that you have many, many options in life. You can pretty much do whatever you want to do within reason. If you are not the boss, understand you are not the boss, and that's okay, right? Realize that if you are part of a big organization, you may be way down the totem pole. Whenever I used to work at McDonald's, I did not get to say how the food was made. My job was to make the food and do what the boss said. The managers at McDonald's, they were not the boss. They had to do what corporate said, right? And then people at corporate, they're not the boss. They have to do what the person above them says, right? And there is delegation down the road. They trusted me to cook the food, but they did not trust me to tell them how to actually cook the food, right? And that's okay. So understand that you control things you can. I didn't like working at McDonald's so much. Actually, it was fine. I didn't mind it. It was easy. I didn't mind it, and I realized, though, that I did not want to make $8 an hour my whole life. So what do? Well, eventually, I got a better job at the airport. I was making $10 or $12 an hour. Then I realized, you know what? I want to make more than $10 or $12 an hour. So I tried to find ways to do it. I wasn't like actively searching hard, but I fell into poker and realized if I study a ton and get way better than my opponents, just like the other games I played in the past, I'll probably win. Fortunately, in poker, when you win, you get money. Unlike games like chess that I was good at as a kid, you don't get any money. You get nothing. You get a pat on the back and a good job, kid. You're smart. I would have rather been rewarded with money, so that's what I did. So I went from someone who was making $8 an hour, and we moved up, right? Very quickly, because I was working hard, studying hard, and to be fair, I was in the right place at the right time. I just happened to be young in the poker room. Ori says, wow, Jonathan Little on Twitch. I'm here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Also, all the past videos should be available on Twitch in the videos tab and also on YouTube. We have lots and lots of content on YouTube. YouTube.com/floattheturn. We've been putting out hour-long webinars on specific topics. A lot of you are enjoying those. Those are getting a decent amount of views. So that's all good. Do I use PokerTells? Of course. Please read Mastering Small Stakes No Limit Hold'em. I have a book, Excelling at No Limit Hold'em, with a chapter by Zach Elwood. Very good tells expert. So, yes. Sounds like someone's cutting a hole in the wall right here. There's always an element of chance unless you have the nuts. You can't really control every hand. Well, of course. Even when you have the nuts, you're not going to deterministically win your opponent's whole stack, right? Don't think like that. Don't think I need to win every hand, otherwise I don't know what I'm doing. People who want to have control in poker fail, and they fail hard. You want to know why? Because like William says here, they want to know they're going to win. So are you going to wait till you know or are very close to knowing you're going to win? You only play the nuts. If you only play the nuts, you're going to lose all of your money. You win by playing a fundamentally sound strategy, which is what we teach here. Mastering Small Stakes No Limit Hold'em. And also what we teach at PokerCoaching.com. PokerCoaching.com is free to sign up for a trial membership. How much is this book? Again, I do not have a book, Mastering Small Stakes Cash Games. This is No Limit Hold'em. People ask, is this for cash games or tournaments? It's for both. The games are not all that different. Stop thinking in the very closed mindset. No Limit Hold'em tournaments and No Limit Hold'em cash games are effectively the same game. There are a few minor differences, and they are discussed. Some people think online and live are very different games. They're not. We discussed that here too. This is meant to be a complete guide to helping you learn to think in a fundamentally sound strategy so that you can adjust to whatever situation poker throws at you. Because I'm not going to be able to teach you how to play every single spot. That's not how it works, right? All right, let's see. Louis Flip says, thanks for sharing everything. Louis Flip, thanks for being here. You recently joined PokerCoaching.com says Daniel, and you're learning a ton. Very good. You actually like table banter. What are my thoughts on players like William Kassouf? Again, it goes back to at the end of the day. Some things you can't control. If someone is going to be a complete ass at the table, you can't control that. If they are being out of line, you think it's reasonable that they're being, or you think they are reasonably out of line, call the floor. The floor will stop it. If they don't, stop giving that casino your business if you not like people like that. I think William Kassouf definitely got out of line. Some people think Griffin Binger got out of line when he just really braided him hard late at the final table. I don't think so. I think if you are going to be, I'm not going to say scummy, but if you're going to be scummy at the table to people, if you're going to be an antagonist, right? If you're an antagonist, you should expect heroes emerge to take advantage of, or to really demolish the antagonist. I mean, I do this sometimes at the poker table, where if someone's being rude to a recreational player, I get pretty snippy. I get pretty snippy and pretty aggressive at people like that, because they, in my mind, are very bad for the game. If you are making the game uncomfortable for people, you should not be there, in my opinion. And other people who have much thicker skin than the recreational players should step up and take up for the people who maybe are a little bit, they're the people that are getting picked on, right? And if someone tries to pick on me, first off, I don't care. And also, I will crush them. William says you try to give off false reads. Yeah, I discussed that, actually, in my very first book. False reads are very good if your opponents are awful, or you almost never use them. If you use them frequently, they become very reliable reads, right? Say, I think people think it's strong every time I put my hand like this. I do the steeple, the Joe Navarro steeple. So every time I'm bluffing, I do this. Because people think it's strong. Well, think about this, right? If you do this every time you're bluffing, it's probably not going to work out for you. Do my books cover online? Did you hear what I just said, Predator? Yes, it's the same game. Stop thinking it's a different game. The only difference between live and online is that people online play better. How much is this book? MSRP is $35. I bet you can find it cheaper on the internet. Probably on Amazon. Why doesn't the tournament book discuss blind levels and bubbles? It does. Let me see if this one does. I actually don't know if this one does. This should, but I don't know if it does. This little one may not. Yeah, this little book may not. So if you get the little 80-page book, it's not going to be discussing every single stage of the tournament because it's 80 pages long, right? Big ones do, though. If you want to win, making them comfortable is part of it, isn't it? Johnny, I'm not sure what you're saying. Listen, I do not want the recreational players to think that poker is a game that is miserable to play. The last thing I want is my opponents making my weak opponents chasing them away, right? I want the weak players at the table. So how do we keep them here? We give them a good experience. Do you think being berated by some jerk is a good experience? No, it's not a good experience. It's miserable. Maybe fun to watch for TV, to see someone belittled if you're a very sadistic person. But if you're not a sadistic person and you think people should be treated with respect, then that is very, very bad for the game. So some people like drama. I'm not a big fan of drama. I think drama is for fish. You are actively out there trying to elicit drama, try to stir the pot and get people fighting and trying to cause friction in the poker community or any community. Realize you are bad for the community. And, some people are cool with being bad for the community. You all may not know this. One of the greatest marketing things you can do is to find someone who is doing very well and try to pull them down. Why is that a good thing you can do from a marketing point of view? Because you, as an irrelevant person, find someone, and if you can actually try to bring that person down, all those person's haters will like you, which, everyone hates. I mean, I have haters, right? And I'm nothing but nice. So all those haters will start hating on you as well. And you'll develop a following of equally negative, equally toxic people. But hey, you're getting a following, right? Any following is good. That's what some people think. I've never really thought like this. That's like the one marketing tactic I do not use. You don't see me out there trying to badmouth people unless they're actively doing something shady, right? But there are especially a lot of people out there in the poker media space who do this tactic. And they end up with sometimes very large followings because they are very smart at picking the people with big names, and they try to drag down the big names. And it turns out you can get a lot of people who don't like people who have nothing to do with their time besides spread hatred. We're not trying to spread hatred here. We're trying to help people better their lives. And understand that most people out there are not trying to help you better their lives. They are trying to better their life. And they do that by getting you to click on their hateful videos. By you watching their hateful things, by you reading their hateful articles, etc., etc. And don't waste your time doing that. Do not feed the hatred and the toxicity. We need poker to be a good, clean environment where everyone works together to better the game and grow the game. That said, if you hate poker and want to tear it down, then I guess hating on the people is a good way to go about it. Let's see. You watched Brendan Kinney at the final table of the Aussie Millions and you were impressed. Do you like his game? Yes. I think everyone who plays the Super High Stakes tournaments is very, 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 very good. How important is health outside of poker? I discussed that in my books. Well, Stu Unger died very early, so take that for what it's worth. I learned a long time ago from Andrew Roble that you need to be in good shape for many reasons. Endurance is very important. Being able to think clearly is very important. Living longer is very important. Being confident and happy with yourself is very important. All these things will subconsciously make you work harder, make you study harder, make you play better, right? So I do think it's important. I don't think you need to be like Superman. Some of these people take it overboard and they're Superman, which is fine if you have nothing else to do, but you should definitely be at least in reasonable shape. All right, I'm going to go now. Hope everyone has a great day. Hope you all enjoy yourselves. Hope you be nice to someone. Hope you do not support the toxic people in any environment, in any community. Try to build up people. Try to make other people successful. And if you make enough other people successful, they will make you successful. So that's what we're trying to do here. Have a good day. Good luck. And I will see you all on Wednesday, bright and early, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. I don't know what we're going to talk about. If you have any ideas, send them to me through email at support@pokercoaching.com, and there's a tiny chance I use them. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.